Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Donington Park. Welcome to a new season of Ginetta Racing. The sun is shining. There is not a cloud in the sky. It feels more like June than early April. And we've got one of the best racetracks in the country at our disposal for a total of 9 races over the weekend. 3 today, 1 per category. And already we have cars lined up on the grid. The drivers competing within the Ginetta GT Academy Championship for 2025 to kickstart our racing season. Andy McEwen here in the commentary box, alongside me, the CEO of Ginetta Motorsport, Mike Simpson, to talk us through the action today in particular. Mike, great to have you in the commentary box. There's lots to cover over the course of the 3 races today, lots of changes on the off-season for Ginetta, but really the primary thing that most people at home will notice immediately is grid sizes are up, and that is always good news, but not something I'm sure that comes easily.
No, we've had a great winter. We've been very aggressive in the market of saying what we want to achieve, and we've done it. The staff at Ginetta have put some amazing cars together. Kelly and the championship team are putting on a great show, so we're super happy. The cars look wonderful. Lots of new drivers on the grid, and Ginetta doing what they're doing best, bringing people into motorsport.
Indeed so, because that's always been really the big thing Ginetta have focused on. It doesn't matter what level of experience you have, there is a home for you within the Ginetta family. GT Academy, for most drivers now, is their entry point into the series. To produce some great racing, there was some seriously good talent over the couple of years it's been around.
That's right, and it's down to the teams and the coaches, and that the cars lend themselves to driving the correct way. Front engine, rear wheel drive. It's a confidence-inspiring car, and people get the bug. Once you get them on track, they go lap after lap, day after day, and but now, they're here. Most of them for the first ever race. There'll be so many butterflies going on at the moment.
And lots of new names for us to get used to as well. Let's cycle through them, shall we, and show you the grid then for our first race of the season, based on qualifying performance this morning. Charlie Digby for MDD is on pole position. Alex Dayton alongside him. Again, 2 new names to get used to. Jamie Caudle's a familiar face, though. He could be one of the title favourites, starting from 3rd alongside Shiv Sapra. We've got, that looks like Julian Wantling, was it, the E3 Sport team, working on his car, which is leaking and going nowhere in the pit lane. We'll get to that in a moment. James Nicholas is back for another crack. He starts from the 3rd row alongside Louis Darling. Paul Livesey and Nick Ponting share the 4th row. Mike West and Joe Edge for Want to Race completing the top 10. Julian Wantling should be 11th, but as we've seen, won't be taking up that starting position. Hopefully we'll see him on track at some point. Ben Cook will therefore have the 6th row to himself. Lucy Hodgson and Robin Grimwood are next, ahead of Sam Shrimpton and Phil McGarty, and then towards the back, a few more newcomers, Alan Wright and Damien Duffy, and Peter Thompson at the back of the field as well. Well, Mike, I touched upon it there, that there are a couple of familiar names, but again, we've seen that in GT Academy in the past. They are not necessarily a shoe-in to be the title favourites, because there are sometimes drivers who come into this series, we've never heard of them before, and they win on their debut.
No, that's right. I mean, some of the rookies, I don't know where they come from, but they're natural talents, and it's like any sport. Some people click sooner than others, and it's just a great opportunity. It's a shame to see Julian there in the pit lane. He had a power steering problem in qualifying, only managed 1 lap. So it doesn't look like the team's managed to get on top of that. So that's a shame for our defending champion.
Indeed so. We know that Julian obviously is quick, as Mike said, champion in 2024. And, well, I suppose if anyone can bounce back from early disappointment, Julian is your man. But we'll wait and see whether or not he's able to make it out on track. They are already forming up 2x2 then for the rolling start. This is something that was introduced last year, I seem to recall, for the Ginetta GT Academy. And it means the cars are going to arrive even faster at that first corner red gate, which can be a bit of a pinch point. We've seen that in the past in Ginetta GT Academy as well. Fingers crossed they will all get through safely on this occasion. The white car then, number 14, is Charlie Digby, the first of the 2 red and black teammate cars there. Alex Dayton starting to his left, that is the outside line for the first corner, and 2x2 they run then over the grid markings. The 2025 Ginetta racing season bursts into life on the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit, and Charlie Digby, with good reaction times on the inside line, has got his nose ahead as they approach the braking zone for Redgate corner. Dayton on the outside line may even lose 2nd place here to Jamie Caudle, who's on his toes, nips to the inside and does indeed move into the runners-up spot. Dayton 3rd, and his teammate Shiv Sapra dropping down the order as well, so already quite a bit of shuffling going on through the first turn. Right on board with Joe Edge here, the number 13 car heading down the Craner curves on cold tyres. That's always a little bit hairy, but so far so good, Mike. They're keeping it clean, and perhaps unsurprisingly, Jamie Caudle, with a year's experience under his belt, on his toes right from the start.
was very strict in the driver's briefing. Look, to finish first you've got to finish. So it's the first day at school, keep it clean, and thankfully everybody's driving great.
But the nerves must be through the roof for some of these drivers, but you're absolutely right, they kept it clean, and they're all still there, minus Julian Wantling anyway, as we arrive at the top of the hill for the first time. The two right-handers, McLean's, and then this one, Coppice. They're James Nicholas then, so the Union Flag liveried car a lot further down the order than we would have expected, maybe. And so the order certainly changing around quite a bit from the way they started. Here, though, is Shiv Sapra trying to move back into the top 5, and he might just have done it. He's forced a big mistake out of Louis Darling, who clatters the tyre stack, and around goes Sapra as well. Oh, Mike, we spoke too soon. That chicane is so often the scene of calamity, and under pressure there, Louis Darling just missed his braking point, and from there you've got a fraction of a second to react and avoid the accident.
I know, we saw that unfolding, didn't we? So it looked like Shiv put a move on, and Louis was in his mirrors a little bit, but that tyre stack is not forgiven in any way. Oh, such a shame.
Oh dear, right, well, we have safety car on track, unsurprisingly, as a result of that. We'll get a replay, I'm sure. Not entirely sure how Shiv Sapra ended up turning around, whether he was collected by another car, but we'll piece it together in a moment. Charlie Digby, though, is your leader. Jamie Caudle in second position. Through all of that, Alex Dayton ends up back in third, and James Nicholas, of course, in fourth. Confused me because he's no longer the Union Flag livery car. That does make a bit more sense. So he's still there in fourth, with Livesey in fifth position. Paul Livesey, as the red flag now flies. Race being stopped. Not the ideal start to the season, this, but understandable, really, with I think at least 3 cars and a tyre stack and a load of debris and gravel to be cleared from the track. This is the most efficient course of action. Although actually there may only be the one car that needs moving. It's more that tyre stack that's stuck in the middle of the road. That clearly can't stay there, and so the marshals being given full freedom to enter the track and get that cleared away. We've got a few replays we can take a look at then to try and piece this together. Mike, how did you see this?
Yeah, I think Shiv thought better of it, but I think Louis gone in too hot there and lost the rear, trying to catch it, and opposite lock and nowhere to go but into the barrier, and then everybody's just trying to take avoiding action, and you see Shiv spun on the exit. Everybody did a great job to miss him, but yeah, it's just really unfortunate that. He's cold tyres, the air temp's cold, and yeah, everybody did well there. There wasn't much visibility at all. Cars facing the wrong way, but yeah, not a great start.
Keep an eye on Shiv Sapra here. He's the red and black car, number 8, just coming into shot. He actually gets skittled out of the way by the tyre stack. It's not another car that hits him. The tyre stack there gets a wallop from Louis Darling and then skates across the road and tags the right rear corner of the number 8 car. He almost got around, but there Shiv Sapra gets collected. Shouldn't have done too much damage, hopefully, Mike.
No, it looks okay. The right rear suspension's fine, bodywork's good, so yeah, he'll rejoin and take his position back. But a lot of damage there done to that car, so MDD have got a lot of work to get that ready for the next race.
What sort of damage can that do then? You spent a lot more time around these cars than I or the viewers at home likely have. It's a big hit. We can see the bodywork damage, but internally that's where the concern will be, isn't it?
Now, the Ginetta's a purpose-built race car, so obviously the front bumper, which is fiberglass, is gone. Behind that, you've got the crash box, which may have taken a knock. So that's what the engineers will look for, to see if there's any cracks or anything in the crash box, and that'll have to be replaced if that's the case. But there won't be any chassis damage there. It's quite superficial, really, and it's designed to spread the load to obviously protect that chassis. The chassis is the heart of a Ginetta. It's not a road car with a shell and an aftermarket cage. The chassis is everything. So, it looks bad, but that a couple of hours work, that'll be back on track.
And the main thing is, of course, that Louis, the driver, is stood leaning, admittedly, against the tyre wall. Can't say I blame him, but he appears to be largely okay. And safety always for any car manufacturer now, whether it be on the road or the racetrack, is of utmost importance. I know that certainly is something Ginetta focus on as well. That was a big hit. He'll have felt it, but he appears to be largely okay.
Yeah, and I've been in Louis' position myself, and you sat there watching the pack go by, and you're replaying it in your mind, thinking, oh, what could I have done different? Who's to blame? Whose fault is it? But that was, that was just a racing incident. It was unfortunate. There was no contact there. Just cars avoiding each other. So yeah, full racing incident, and I presume this will be a a full restart back to the original positions, which is a shame because, you know, Sam Shrimpton, I think he was up 9 places on lap 1 in the Palmer Sport branded Ginetta just in sight now.
Indeed so, yes. So it is Sam who I was mistaking earlier. A year of seeing James Nicholas in that car had conditioned me to assume it was him. But no, number 24 this year, as Mike quite rightly says, is Sam Shrimpton. And he picked his way very nicely through the carnage on that opening lap. And we'll watch with interest to see how he gets on upon the race restart. Also, we may or may not have more chance now of having Julian Wantling on track. The team will continue to work on that car in the pit lane, and fingers crossed we'll be given an opportunity to see him out on track before too much longer. So the Ginetta Academy car then, Mike, it is based on the G56. We see the G56 racing in the Ginetta GT Championship as well these days. What are the key sort of, what's in the DNA of the GT Academy car then? Talk us through these cars that look very similar to their bigger brothers, but internally are quite different.
Yeah, so the chassis fundamentally is a GT4 chassis, so it's super stiff. There's a lot of T45 steel in there, very strong. You know, it's tested to extreme standards. We put a V6 engine in here. We have 2 variants, a 3.5 with the new cars and a 3.7, which are balanced to give the same horsepower. You have a Quaife 6-speed inline sequential gearbox, a Ginetta differential, independent wishbones and suspension. It's a true race car. We're with the Pirelli Trofeo R, so it is a road legal tyre, but very racy and behaves like a slick. But for this year, we've introduced a new gearbox, slightly stronger, a bit more reliable, brings the cost per kilometre down of usage, which is important in this world. People want good value racing, and we've just beefed up some of the wishbone areas. So the car's been running now around the world for the last 4 years, and it's a very finely tuned product now. Everybody knows these cars well. I was in Road Atlanta a week ago. We had a 23-car GTA series there. We've got a series starting in Australia this weekend, so it's a formula which is really growing.
Something that I'm just getting some information. It will be a 15-minute restart, by the way, so it's going to be a slightly shorter race when we do get running again. But well, there is a proper look at the state of the front of Louis Darling's MDD racing car after that wallop into the tyre stack. But yeah, I think sometimes in the UK people have made the mistake of thinking of Ginetta as very much a British brand focused on, you know, the British motoring and motorsport industry. There really is a big effort going on now, isn't there, within Ginetta to promote the company outside of the UK, and that has been an enormous success over recent years. Yeah,
well, we're a world manufacturer, and you know, I've franchised a series. We've got great partners that do that, and people just love, you know, Ginetta racing, and the cars are great value. They're designed to work in any climate. You know, we race everywhere: Peru, Malaysia. We sell and race these cars all over, and the championship model is great. It's a spec series with very tight technical control, good part support, and you know, success breeds success, and you know, the UK is our marketing effort. It's our big show. If anybody's here at Donington, you know, come by the Ginetta hub and the village that you'll see we've created, and you know, it's about creating this club environment and people enjoying going motor racing, and the word is spreading. We've been 20 years we've been going at this now, and but every year feels fresh faces, and you know, we're the start of people's journey, and that's so important. People aren't doing enough to bring people into racing, where we're actively going into schools, we'll go on track days and giving people the first opportunity to come and get on track. And the better we do at that, you know, the better motorsport will be.
Exactly so, and that clearly has been a success, and within the GT Academy Championship you particularly can see that. The way that this championship hit the ground running a few years ago was, I think, one of the success stories for a new championship at that time as well, you know, just after COVID and you know, money was tight for everybody, but to hit the ground running with such a big grid that first year, was that a surprise at all for you? I guess beyond maybe some people's wildest dreams, that size grid?
It was, but the car puts a smile on your face, and it's very rare to see somebody disappointed driving a Ginetta. So it kind of does sell itself. We've just got to run, you know, a really good event, and it's a winning recipe. It's interesting you talk about the first year. Darren Leung, who's obviously well known to this paddock, British GT champion, he started with us in the academy, and Darren's here today, and Shiv and Alex Deaton in the Paradigm entered cars by Zentech. That's Darren's team. Right. So Darren's here passing on all his you know, years of, I'll say years, he's only been racing 4 of them, but onto Shiv and Alex. And Darren was testing these cars during the week, and he just said to me at lunch he should have entered and done a guest round for a bit of fun. But that shows you where you can get to through academy. I mean, Darren finished 2nd at Le Mans this year, which is, you know, from Ginetta GTA in 4 years to Le Mans in a factory car. I mean, that's some journey.
And a front runner now in the World Endurance Championships GT class as well. There is a queue forming at the end of pit lane of drivers who haven't had the ideal start perhaps to their afternoon. At the front of that queue is Nick Ponting. His number 7 car was the one that was clipped by Louis Darling's car as it sort of bounced across the track into the gravel trap. I also noticed at the back of that group Julian Wantling. So Julian Wantling's car is there. Hopefully the team have got to the bottom of whatever that issue was. I mean, it was hard for us to tell really, Mike, but there was fluid pooling around the front of the car. Any ideas what sort of thing that might have been?
Julian's car is a bit older, and he had some power steering damage after qualifying, so I know they was trying to replace the rack. With that leakage, it looked like maybe it was not plumbed in correctly. One of the pipes had come off, so hopefully they've topped it up with fluid, nipped all the unions up, and even if it's just an exploratory run for Junior, just to make sure the car's right for the next race, it's important he does join the race.
Indeed so, and there are points still to be scored as well. There will be drop scores, which we'll get into much later in the season, but he doesn't want to be relying on those just yet. The cars, as you can see, are back underway then on their green flag lap. A 15-minute restarted race ahead of us. Hopefully we'll get the entirety of the 15 minutes in relatively drama-free, and as Mike suggested would be the case earlier on, they've gone back now to the original grid order, minus of course any cars that were not running at the time of the red flag or that have dipped into the pit lane. I think the yes, I can see 3 cars still parked at the end of the pit lane. I mentioned Ponting, I mentioned Wantling, the other one is Paul Livesey. Now he started alongside Nick Ponting actually on the 4th row of the grid initially, so there will in some ways be no 4th row upon the rolling restart coming up. Charlie Digby then, Mike, will be a little bit frustrated here, won't he, I guess, because he nailed that initial start, has to do it all over again, and he knows that Jamie Cordell behind is on his toes and ready to fight.
He'll be nervous, he'll be looking in his mirrors, but it was a great start. Everybody held a good speed to the line and waited for the lights to go out, so let's repeat that again. And he's warming up the tyres now. Everybody's sticking to the rules. You're not allowed to weave more than half the width of the track, so yeah, just getting everything dialed in. The brakes, important to get good brake temperature. Donington is very aggressive on brakes, so you need the temp to be in there straight away.
Yeah, Charlie Digby there, we were riding on board with the pole sitter. He'll be hoping that we don't get to see any other cars beyond the safety car anyway out of that camera. He wants to hold on to the lead at the restart there. The onboard camera with number 13, that's Joe Edge, one of the want-to-race runners. We saw him picking his way through the drama down at the chicane a little bit earlier on as well. Lights out then once again on the pace car. That car is destined for the pit lane. The rest of them destined for Redgate Corner, and we hope a strong, clean race here. 15 minutes then, the new distance. And Charlie Digby has it all to do again. Made a really good jump the first time around. Alex Deaton, though, I'm sure will have learnt from that and will maybe try to approach this with a slightly different strategy and keep an eye to the sort of turquoise and black number 51 of Jamie Cordell behind, the highest placed of the returning drivers, and picked up that position on the initial race start. Out of Goddard's then, towards the timing line when the red lights on the gantry go out. We're racing once again in the Ginetta GT Academy Championship. That happens now, and it's a better reaction time this time for Deaton on the outside. He's going to go toe-to-toe with Charlie Digby. How brave is he feeling on the outside line? Digby, I think, will hold on to the lead, but this time Deaton does slot into second place, and that, I'm afraid, is Shiv Sapra off. Not for the first time this afternoon. That time, though, completely unaided. I think he lost the rear into Redgate Corner, and that car is beached in the gravel. Hopefully we will see him get going again. Down the Craner curves, the leading pack descends, though, into the right-hander at the old hairpin. Nicholas is there in 4th position by the looks of it. And they round the right-hander at the old hairpin. There, though, is Shiv Sapra. Cold tyres, Mike, that looked to be the cause.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit too much apex speed, and yeah, the rear just came round. So the marshals are trying to get Shiv, pushing him back. Hope we can get him out of the gravel and not go safety car with this one.
He's got a few stories to tell already, hasn't he? He's only completed about half a lap of racing in his Ginetta racing career, but anyway, the marshals we can see are busy working on getting that car back underway. Meanwhile, the pack up through Coppice Corner, and already Charlie Digby starting to get away. The last thing he wants to see is the safety car at the end of this lap, but I fear that may be inevitable. Move will be inside there for the impressive Sam Shrimpton. I mean, we should expect by this point to see whoever jumps into that car going well, but Sam really impressing, good pace, good racecraft, and he's into, I think, about 6th position now, as we do indeed go safety car. But Sam Shrimpton, I think, Mike, is going to be one to watch.
No, Sam came from the Palmer Sport Scholarship we do at Bedford with the guys down at Jonathan Palmer's place, and he did a great job there. He was in very tricky conditions, a full knockout competition against other scholars. So, you know, Sam's got the talent. He's inexperienced, but you know, putting on moves like that against Lucy, if he keeps doing that, he'll be up at the front in no time.
Of course, that was James Nicholas's route into the championship a year ago. We saw him take the championship fight right down to the wire. He was a winner in his debut weekend of the season. And yeah, Sam Shrimpton may not have qualified particularly well. Was there a story there, do we know, Mike? Because he seems to have better pace than 15th on the grid would suggest.
Sam was a bit frustrated, just did track position, and then he just didn't quite nail it really, which is to be expected in your first qualifying session, but he's making amends for that now.
Right, we're going to take a look back at the restart then. So it's the second car on the outside line, carries speed into the corner, and just like that, you can hear the screech of the tyres before the car even started to loop around. I mean, to my eyes anyway, he didn't look like he was going massively quickly in, but you could see the car drift out wide. There's less grip out there anyway, and you're dealing with fractions to begin with, aren't you?
That's it. I mean, on the circuit, when you see the tyre marks on the road, that indicates it's slippery out there, and he's gone in a little bit offline, and at the point of rotation where the front wants to go, the rear's just come round and pivoted on there. Just couldn't quite get it stopped either before the gravel, and the cars are very low. They're only 60 millimetres to the ground, so as soon as you turn those wheels in the gravel, it just sinks. So, you know, that does need a live snatch and recovery, but that seems to have happened pretty quickly. Good work by the marshals, so maybe we can go green this lap.
Suspect the marshals here at Donington Park, who have spent a few days at Redgate Corner, are well versed with digging cars out of that gravel trap, so they've done that very quickly with the assistance of the live snatch vehicle as well, and we should hopefully go racing again at the end of the lap. The time, of course, keeps ticking down behind the safety car, and so we're eating into our now shortened race distance of 15 minutes, but hopefully we'll have them back at speed at the end of the lap. Digby then the leader, Deaton, Caudle, Nicholas complete the top four. Fifth position for Mike West, started 9th on the original grid, so he too has made some decent progress ahead of the very impressive Sam Shrimpton, the leading rookie driver. It's not unheard of for rookies to be up there winning races, as we discussed in the season opener. Then you've got in 7th position the number 63 car, that's Ben Cook, and he has right behind him the number 44 of Lucy Hodgson, so those two battling of course for second within the class as well. Mike West leading the chairman's class at the moment in 5th position, but only a couple of places ahead of those two. 9th spot for the number 13 of Joe Edge, and the top 10 completed by Phil McGarty in the number 81 car. Safety car for the third time heads towards the pit lane, and Charlie Digby has another restart, this time single file, and drivers often have different tactics here, don't they, Mike, as to what to do. Have you sort of found yourself favouring one over the years here at Donington?
Yeah, I like to go in deep into this last corner, get it squared off and get a clean exit, but it looks like Charlie's gone. You know, he's gone in late on the brakes and he's caught them a little bit napping there. Great restart.
It's better sometimes to do the unexpected, I suppose, isn't it? Top four then scoot away. Really, the battle I think is going to be for 5th, isn't it? Because we've got Sam Shrimpton keen to continue this charge up the order, closing in now behind Mike West in the number 42. There they are, look, and Shrimpton peaks to the inside at Redgate Corner. He's applying the pressure. I think he's had a better exit. Is there an overlap as they head through Hollywood? No, not quite. Mike West having none of that. And Mike, another second-year racer in the GT Academy, is, well used to battling with that car as well, isn't he? Because, of course, he and James Nicholas had some sensational scraps last year. And Mike West, once again, finds that Palmer Sport Union flag liveried car filling his mirrors and looking quick. Mike didn't have a great restart there, and it has just allowed the leading four to break away. Some battles there further back, and this of course is the group, the trio of cars who started from the pit lane, and Julian Wantling Mike is out on track. If that car's working well, he should make progress. Yeah,
and Paul Livesey just in front. You know, Paul's come back for a second year, so they're quick drivers, so that will be interesting in a couple of laps. Once they get the tyre temp up, they're going to come through the field.
So, Sam Shrimpton then in the wheel tracks of Mike West, trying to pick up a bit of a slipstream down the exhibition straight and apply the pressure into the Fogarty S's, where you hang a left onto the Grand Prix loop. Do your best to avoid those big yellow curves, big slabs of concrete that really unsettle the car. And they all do so successfully. Shrimpton perhaps more successfully than West. He's again looking up the inside, and this time does commit to the move, gets to the apex first, doesn't exactly hold the apex, but the next corner's a left-hander and almost around behind them. That would have been Hodgson, I think, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Lucy Hodgson actually does now end up pointing the wrong way. I think it might have been Cook maybe who had the slide in front of Lucy, and Lucy ends up on the grass pointing backwards. But what came of the fight for fifth? It is Shrimpton. So Shrimpton, an unorthodox overtake there, but it got the job done.
Absolutely, we've got to move on for third. We've got Caudle looking up the inside of Deaton. That is close racing, very well behaved. Thought about it, but then, yeah, thought against it. That door was closing pretty quick. So, you know, Alex just in his mirrors now, which is allowing Charlie Digby just to start edging away. So, difficult decision now. Do these two try and work with each other to keep Charlie in sight, or do they go for that battle?
Learned over the years, drivers tend to go for the second of those options, but we'll see. Caudle, of course, will be a bit frustrated here because he got past Deaton on the initial start and was right on the tail of Digby. Now he's having to find a way through once the race has settled down a bit, and that's always a little bit trickier. Every lap that Deaton does, he will grow in confidence and will start to be even more difficult to overtake. And of course James Nicholas applying the pressure to Caudle too, so Caudle really in a tricky spot here, both attacking and defending. I'll be interested to see what happens with the gap back to Shrimpton as well. I just saw in the background he's already gapping Mike West in the first sector, very comparable time to the cars ahead of him, so if these three really start battling, Shrimpton could be there. They head towards the Melbourne hairpin, probably the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit, as was exemplified by Shrimpton a lap ago, and now by Caudle on this occasion. He gets to the inside of Deaton, runs wide, but as we've seen, that doesn't really matter because you've got the inside for Goddard, and well, Jamie Caudle is now, it would seem, into second place.
Textbook move there from Jamie. So went in deep, but got the car turned at the apex and got a good exit up the hill. And it's so important to come out the Melbourne hairpin with an exit because it's much hillier than you think. But Jamie's been quick all week, so I think it'll be head down now, and he's got one goal in front of him, and that's to catch Charlie Digby.
Yeah, I mean, he was about 3/4 of a second slower than Digby in qualifying, but qualifying only ever tells part of the story. And now, with 6.5 minutes or so of the race remaining, Caudle has 2.1 seconds to try and close in order to challenge for the race lead. We take a look back at a scrap going on further down the order. Phil McGarty there, the number 81 car, has got Robin Grimwood behind, again, two reasonably experienced drivers by Ginetta GT Academy standards anyway, doing battle just at the back of the top 10, 9th and 10th respectively, those two run. And they will soon be down at the old hairpin. There is Shrimpton, who is doing his best to chase after the leading group, but here the fight at the tail end of the top 10 is actually both sort of tucked up behind number 63 of Ben Cook, who looks a bit like a cork in the bottle here, but easy, isn't it, as a driver when you are at the front of a little queue like this to drive in the mirrors a touch too much. Yeah,
but Ben only did 3 races last year, so he's committed to the full season this year. Great livery on the car, and he's had a good winter training with Jamie Falvey, his professional driver coach. And Ben will be really happy with this position, and they're looking to maintain it, but he's got a lot of cars behind him, so he's going to have a tough 5 minutes.
Yes, and the danger is you open the door for one and they all come streaming through. He's gapped them actually, as we've been saying that, so starting to get his head down now, and actually it's Phil McGarty who was coming under increased pressure from Robin Grimwood. Robin then missed his braking point into the chicane, and that could open the door for Peter Thompson, who was the last of the qualifiers to come up and challenge him. Rookie class then being led, unsurprisingly perhaps, by Sam Shrimpton. Now his sector times are fractionally quicker than the cars immediately ahead. Also Jamie Caudle purple in the first sector. Now he's been released into second position. He is slowly gaining on the race leader. In fact, the fastest lap now of the race goes to Jamie Caudle. Here that scrap for the final position within the top 10 continues, and Peter Thompson, who was well off the pace, must have had some issues in qualifying. Mike, I don't know whether you've had a chance to catch up with Peter.
Peter had a spin on the lap and he caused a red flag in the session, so yeah, Peter's out of position. He's had a good winter training, and you know, coming into this race was definitely thinking top 5 as possible, but starting from the back is a new challenge. So no, Peter's going to make headway. He's already put a good move on down the Craner curves. That's 2x2 through there. That is brave stuff. That's fantastic.
Difficult to keep it clean, but they do so, and Thompson does squeeze through. They've also got the best of the pit starters now. Nick Ponting right behind them in the all-white number 7 car, but Peter Thompson with some real bravery there through the Craner curves. It's sort of knocked McGarty out of his rhythm now, hasn't it? Ponting's closing in and wants to strike while the iron's hot. He's looking to the inside into McLean's. The door is left open, and Nick Ponting read that situation well. He's not got the job done yet, though, as McGarty tries to close the door into Coppice Corner. That's not really the place to to be on the outside, and I fear a second or indeed a third position on this lap will go begging, because through comes Livesey, and that is what can happen, isn't it, if you stand your ground on the outside for a corner too many.
That's it, and didn't get a run down the straight and then lost the momentum. So some classic Donington textbook driving there.
Really is a momentum circuit, isn't it, Donington? It's why it always has produced great one-mate racing, and Ginetta have had some fabulous races here down the years, because when you do get a battle pack like this, if you're at the front of it, it's a catch-22. You want to defend, but you know that will slow you down. That was a real dive bomb from Julian Watling, who hadn't maybe made the progress through this group I might have expected, but he's doing something about that now.
I was hanging onto the chair there, and that was close. And Julian and Robin are best drinking buddies as well. So
oh, really?
That could have been a difficult evening, but you know, they both looked in the mirrors and lived to tell the tale there.
Livesey ahead of Ponting now as well, so he leads the pit lane class, the group of cars that started from the pits. There was a cloud of dust, and that, I fear, was because of a moment for Ben Cook, because look, he's dropped behind McGarty and Thompson now, so the charging Peter Thompson picks up another position, and the number 63 car, I think, has been off the circuit at the final corner, loses a couple of positions as a result. All of the action really in this race is happening midfield on back, but we will check back in on some of the cars towards the front of the field. The 99 is James Nicholas, and he wants to be on the podium. I think it's fair to say Mike would expect to be on the podium really in the first race of this second season of the championship, but to do that he will have to find a way past Alex Deaton, who is not making it easy for him.
No, Alex is driving really clean, on his line, not making mistakes, and it's difficult to overtake at Donington. It's all about momentum, so if you can't get a run on a car, I mean, look at the gap opening there. Alex is placing the car great, and James hasn't had a lot of prep into this year. It was only 2 weeks ago, I think, he decided to come back and do it. He's got, business is the priority, but he's got a great run there out of the S's, looking to make a move down into the Melbourne hairpin. Well,
you would have thought he was close enough, but Deaton was late on the brakes, perhaps a bit too late, runs wide of the apex, but again, that doesn't really matter. It gives him that all-important exit speed up the surprisingly steep hill towards Goddard's, and he drags his car clear ahead before they hit the brakes into the final corner. So Alex Deaton, again, is showing some good racecraft skills here, despite his relative lack of experience. The E3 Sport car behind of James Nicholas continues to apply the pressure, and these two absolutely nose to tail now as they head towards Redgate Corner for this, the 8th time of asking. We've got time for one more lap. This will be the final lap of the race, and still some side-by-side battles to be settled. Mike West here under threat from the number 13 of Joe Edge. Joe, I think, was trying to go around the outside at the last corner, couldn't quite make that stick.
No, so Joe, it's his first year racing. Joe actually came into the sport as a team owner with the 76 GT3 McLaren, but the team's no longer in existence now, so Joe's decided to have some fun and get behind the wheel. So, Joe, we've had a bit of a winter development program with him, and he's loving it. He's got a huge smile in the paddock, and he's proudly sporting his company logo on the car, and putting on a great show. He's running up at the sharp end, and he'll only get faster with the more development he has.
The ominous-looking fangs in the front grille, ready to eat up, maybe, Mike West's C3 Sport car ahead. It almost does, in fact, as they arrive at McLean's. Almost a touch between the two of them. Much more commitment on the way into the turn there for Edge. Makes me wonder whether maybe Mike West's got a bit of a handling imbalance. Doesn't seem to have quite the confidence on corner entry, does he, of the car that we're riding on board with. But then that quick entry speed for Edge means Mike actually gets off the turns a little bit better. Here, meanwhile, is the ongoing scrap for third. James Nicholas to the outside this time of Deaton, so he's tried the inside. That didn't work. Now he tries the wide-in, tight-out approach to maybe get the momentum up the hill, but Deaton will always cover the inside ground and force James Nicholas to the outside once again. This is the final corner of the race. The checkered flag awaits them. Who is going to be on the third step of the podium? We'll find out momentarily. The race win, though, will go to Charlie Digby, who goes from lights to flag through all of the red flags and the safety cars to win the race. Second place, Jamie Cordell, and it is Deaton who hangs on by a quarter of a second from James Nicholas. Shrimpton is the top rookie driver in 5th position. A really impressive run from, where did he start? 15th on the grid. Now, let's sort out this mess. Oh, around goes the 63. That is Cook, and as a slowing Peter Thompson. Peter Thompson heads for the pit lane. That's a real shame after a charging drive from Peter. So what did all of that mean? Well, Mike West was 6th, Livesey 7th in the end, McGarty 8th, Nick Nick Ponting 9th, and Robin Grimwood completed the top 10. So where's Joe Edge gone? There is Joe Edge. So he slipped right down the order as well. Something happened then between Joe and Mike. There was a rotation for Ben Cook, and Peter Thompson headed for the pit lane. There's a lot to unwrap there from the final moments of what was a very entertaining first Ginetta GT Academy race of the season. But what can we say about this man, Mike? Charlie Digby, a dominant performance in the end.
Very good, very clean, great sector times, and then pretty textbook. And Jamie Cordell, just looking at those 3 laps, both of them were just trading hundredths of a second. So, you know, that's set a good scene for the year. I think it's going to be a great battle up at the front. And Alex Deaton as well, you know, first race in many, many years. He's probably not raced for 25 years, and good to see him on the podium.
Right then, let's piece this together. Oh no, Peter Thompson comes in very hot, and he is the reason that Joe Edge spins. I'm chuckling because I never would have predicted that. They were nowhere near each other at the start of that final lap. They weren't really that close going into this braking zone, but this was Joe Edge's view, and he would have had no idea until about now that it was all about to go wrong.
Such a shame for Joe. He was trying to get an undercut on the car in front, and yeah, Peter just mistimed the braking and took him out. So not too much damage, but disappointing last lap for those guys.
That will be looked at, I am sure, after the race. We will give you an update perhaps tomorrow morning as to what the outcome was. But what we can tell you is provisionally it's a Charlie Digby victory in round number 1 of Ginetta GT Academy. Second place, Jamie Cordell. Third for Alex Deaton. 3 different teams as well represented in those top 3 spots. James Nicholas came home 4th, just missing out on the podium. Sam Shrimpton, the top rookie driver, in 5th after a charging drive, gaining 10 positions from his initial starting spot. Then it was Mike West with Paul Livesey, Phil McGarty and Nick Ponting. West, Livesey and McGarty, by the way, top 3 within the Chairman's Cup. Robin Grimwood completing the top 10. Then it was Peter Thompson and Julian Wantling from the pit lane. Alan Wright was 13th, didn't mention Alan, but came through to actually finish 2nd of the rookies ahead of Joe Edge after that unfortunate final lap spin. Ben Cook also lost ground with a spin at the final corner and ended up 15th ahead of Lucy Hodgson, who also had some dramas in that race. Damien Duffy was 17th with Shiv Sapra and Louis Darling non-finishers. So highlights then of our very entertaining season opener for the Ginetta GT Academy. It was Charlie Digby who'd qualified on pole position, and it was Charlie Digby who held the lead initially into Redgate Corner, with Jamie Cordell slipping through into 2nd place. Sadly though, there was major drama half a lap later as Louis Darling ran wide at the chicane, clobbered the tyre stack and caused carnage behind him. That car, and perhaps more importantly the tyre stack, needed to be removed, so a red flag flew. Upon the restart, well, it was situation normal really for Charlie Digby, who once again nailed the start of the race, unlike Shiv Sapra, who'd had 1 spin already on the previous attempt to run the race and then lost it on cold tyres at the restart. That prompted a brief safety car period, after which Charlie Digby never really looked back. He nailed the restart and disappeared into the distance. Sam Shrimpton was charging through the order on his debut from 15th on the grid, leaving behind some carnage at the hairpin. Lucy Hodgson with a spin, but Sam Shrimpton, one of the real stars of the show. Eventually a move was made for 2nd place by Jamie Cordell, but he could not chase down Charlie Digby, who came home to win the opening round of the Ginetta GT Academy, with Sam Shrimpton the victor in the rookies class.